Welcome to Geeky Bit. Let's talk tech movies. In particular, the movie Hackers from 1995. So in this day and age, you probably heard of the term hackers before, but you might be going, what in the world is the movie Hackers about? So Hackers is set in a world on the verge of the internet, where BBSs and using a modem to dial into remote servers was still commonplace. The movie follows a ragtag group of punk-like hackers, but these hackers hack for enjoyment and not malicious purposes. Along the way, they happen to have some trouble and get into some mishaps, and are introduced to the villain of the story, a hacker named The Plague. So let's talk about some of the tech in this movie. As you can see here in the scene, blink and you'll miss it, there's an Apple IIgs, but its operating system is that closer to a Macintosh. As you can see, here's an Apple IIgs, and they are definitely the same system. I think it would have been better if they went with an LC, as that was actually a Macintosh and would have ran a similar operating system. And right here, our main protagonist is given a transparent Macintosh laptop. Of course, here's our main protagonist also modifying a old compact portable. Something that struck me as odd in this movie is almost all of the technology is Macintosh based. And it's so weird because I don't think hackers of the time would have probably been using Macintoshes. This was around when Linux was starting to become a thing, so they probably would have used that as it was a free operating system and it was based on Unix. Here is my story around the movie Hackers. It was the tail end of 1995. My family and I had just moved across the country. I didn't really have any friends in the local area, especially ones that weren't into computers. I had a friend named Mick, but he didn't like computers at all. As I didn't have really anybody to hang out with most of the time, I often went to the dollar movie theater that was a short walk from where we lived, and I had seen Independence Day nearly 10 times already, and I had seen Judge Dredd quite a few times as well. But they had a relatively new movie called Hackers in the theater, so I decided to watch it, not knowing what it was about. I vaguely knew what the term hackers was for computers because I was into computers, but I didn't really know. After I got out of the theater, man, my mind was racing. I was blown away. These people were into computers like I was, but they were cool. I couldn't imagine such an amazing world existing. You see, back then, it wasn't really popular or cool to be into computers. Eventually, I made several other friends of Markus, Levi, and Tim, and many others. They were all into computers as well, and they loved the movie Hackers as well, even for as inaccurate as the movie was. The movie spoke to us because it was about the kind of people we thought we were, even though we were just a bunch of nerdy kids. I think this movie was well ahead of its time by at least 3 to 4 years, and while completely and entirely inaccurate in its technological displays, its story was great, that it showed people weren't just nerdy that were into computers, and eventually that definitely came to pass. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend doing so. If you're in the US, it's actually free to stream on Amazon's Prime Video if you have that. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it, and if so, feel free to click that like button. And if you aren't subscribed so already, feel free to do so as well. And if you'd like to get notifications of my future videos, click that bell button.